as I said, that's kind of a hard thing, and you inferred that too, John. It's hard to describe that feeling, but I know from having been been in that position myself, not so much as a singer, because nobody's going to come to listen to me sing, but having done shows and stood on that stage, it's a thing that kind of is it's a self-feeding frenzy, the interaction, because the more you get into the crowd, the more they get into you. And the more they get into you, it turns you on, and it goes back and forth. And you just feed off of each other if you're doing it right.
That's it, yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling.
It is.
Sure.
It's one of those things, and we've heard several of the longtime artists like the Oak Ridge Boys, who've been around almost as long as I have, and they said that the same thing. They enjoy what they're doing, and that is the bottom line. If you enjoy what you're doing, the crowd, your audience, knows it. They can feel it. They can sense it, and they get into it. And then it's like spontaneous combustion. You've got a fire going.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, it's a different genre of music, but still that one common thread is there of
yes,
loving your job. Jack, I've got another question for you. Since we do have a little bit more time left, tell us about your bandmates and their backgrounds.
So as you probably know, me and the front man Henry, we're brothers. So we've lived together all our lives now. But Henry's actually moved to Brighton now, so we're actually apart from each other for the first time. So we've got Ed Barnes, our drummer, who he's actually a very close friend of mine. We've been friends since as long as I can remember. So we're all from the same school. We're all just friends, really.
Okay, and as far as the what's the cohesiveness like when you're all together? How tight is everybody?
Oh, well, every time we play, we get tighter and tighter. Not just as a band, but we get more tighter emotionally, as friends as well. We just, whenever we play on stage together, it's a connection that you can't really feel with anyone else. I can't really describe it. Yeah.
You guys are getting some rave reviews over there. I know I was going through a few earlier. You've got DJ Toby Chicago on Kingfisher Radio, who said that as both a musician and a presenter, with a heavy emphasis on indie bands, he said that Wild Horse is going to go far, very, very far, and went on to say, I believe they are indeed leading the second British invasion. And we sure hope so, because we want to get you over here, like I said before. Scotty D of RB Magazine said, superb band, very unique and not scared to play with sounds from rock to reggae. And I like an analogy he made, which goes back to something that I mentioned to you guys when you were on the last time, and that was the sometimes sound of the Rolling Stones that sneaks through. And he said it sounds like a lot like the Rolling Stones, but slightly more punk. And I think he's right. Yeah, there is a punk edge to your music, but every now and then the sound of the Stones seeps through there, and that's not a bad thing, because you're obviously doing your own thing, and the influence of the Stones comes through rather than you actually getting up there and trying to be the Rolling Stones, and that's a good thing there. Now, you've got the new EP you're working on, which I hope you're going to get in touch with us and bring back and let us play some of the tracks off of that when it comes out.
Oh, we will. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sure. And what do you got booked this summer? I know you've got you've got a couple of dates in January and February. Where are you going to be playing?
Well, we're going to be playing at the Islington in March, and we're just going to get as many gigs as possibly as we can. We're going to be playing a lot more in Brighton. We're going to try and play some gigs in France and maybe even the US, because we've always wanted to play there. And actually, while we're talking about it, we signed up to play the Isle of Wight Festival, which, if you don't know, in the UK, it's quite a big festival. But we need people to vote for us to play there by going to hotbox.co.uk and voting for Wild Horse. If you do that, that'd be much appreciated because we'll get to play at the Isle of Wight Festival, which would be a dream come true, really.
Oh, absolutely. Anybody that's familiar with festivals has heard of the Isle of Wight Festival. And now the information on how to, because listeners get carried away and forget things, the information on how to vote for you, is that on your website or your Facebook page or somewhere where people can go and find it?
That's on our Facebook page, yeah. Yeah.
Great. We want to keep that up there. On your Facebook page, they can go to Wild Horse on Facebook and get the information on how to vote for you so that you can play the Isle of Wight Festival. When is that?
That's in summer 2018, so it'll probably be around August, I think, if I remember correctly.
That's a good month, except for the fact that I become more old in August, but nevertheless, that time marches right on. Okay, we're going to be playing the New York song here in just a couple of minutes. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about how you came up with Sirens of New York?
Well, how we came up with this song is basically how we came up with every other song, to be honest. I just decided I was just playing on my guitar, and I came up with this riff out of nowhere, and then I showed it to Henry, and then he got the lyrics together, and that's basically how we write our song. So this is just how we wrote this one, yeah?
Fantastic, and I like your thought process. It's very simple. I came up with a riff out of nowhere, put it together, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden, you've got a potential hit song. Ladies and gentlemen, they call themselves Wild Horse. They're from over in England, and just for the heck of it, since we do have a couple of seconds, for the Yanks who are not familiar with where you are in England, where are you, say, in relation to London?
We're in Brighton, which is 50 miles south of London, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay, so you're south of London. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to. I want to thank you for coming by. I want you to give our best to the other guys. Thank you for coming by the David Bowers Awards, and
we
we'll
really
be playing.
Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure always. We're glad to have you. And as we tell all of our guests, once you're on the show, you're family. So if you've got anything you want to promote, you've got new music, you make it to the Isle of Wight Festival, we'd love to hear about that. And I've got a Facebook page. You just go to Facebook/TheDavidBowersAwards, and that page is there specifically for guests on my show to post their releases, their play dates, anything to do with them and their music that they want to spread the word. There's one more place you can publicize it there on Facebook, and we'll help spread the word from there too, because I sometimes take those things that are posted on there and repost them myself. So again, thank you so much for being here on the David Bowers Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, they call them... you're welcome, and ladies and gentlemen, Wild Horse. This is called Sirens of New York.
I saw you blow a kiss across the street to the man in the suit and tie. Oh my! I started walking down nowhere. Don't really care. All I know is I'll end up somewhere in the end. I want you to go, but I need you to stay, 'cause I know tonight there'll be sirens in New York. Babe, just pack your bags, but don't move anywhere. Mixed emotions circling round my mind. You're fading away, and it won't be long until I'm on my own. Once again, there'll be sirens in New York. Sirens in New to go, but I need you to stay, 'cause I know tonight there'll be sirens in New York, sirens in New York, sirens in New York.
Wild Horse and Sirens of New York. That's interesting sound considering they've never been to New York. So it'll be interesting to see their take on New York after they get to the Big Apple and have actually seen the city, because that's, well, I think back in the days when the city filed bankruptcy and all the things were going around about the city, I heard the one statement really it really put New York City in perspective, because they were talking about one way to bail the city out. There's only about one or two ways in and out of the city that you don't have to go either through a toll road, tunnel, or bridge you have to pay for. They said seal off the other two ways into the city and make it the world's largest amusement park. And I think they're right. New York City is basically one huge amusement park that people just happen to live in. So it'd be interesting to hear the guys' reaction once they've seen the Big Apple. Right now, my reaction is it's time for us to put a wrap on it. We want to thank Wild Horse for joining us, and also thank After Alice for their music, even though they, for some reason, didn't make it into the studio to actually talk to you. We thank them for their music, and we look forward to seeing you right back here again next week. John Bon Jovial, take us home.
Absolutely. I like that Sirens of New York. Nice Seattle grunge sound to it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. This is the David Bowers Awards, and it is broadcast around the world from the studios of Computer Help USA in Naples, Florida, and also from the Valley of the Sun in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. We are available for free on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spreaker, Amazon, Alexa devices, as well as SoundCloud, Mixcloud, 365 internet radio stations, and wherever great indie music is played. Click the follow link on our Blog Talk Radio page and like the David Bowers on Facebook, and be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well. And join us next week for the David Bowers Awards, Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern on WRFZ FM 106.3 Rochester Free Radio in Rochester, New York, and Blog Talk Radio Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and 6 p.m. Greenwich time for more great indie music and talk with the artists that make it happen. So until next week, for the David Bowers and Nick the Geek, I am John Bon Jovial, the legendary John Bon Jovial, saying we will see you next week right here on the David Bowers Awards.